Thousands of storm victims continue to make their way to the capital and more bodies are being discovered. Good morning, I'm LaDawn Davis and welcome to our continued coverage of search and recovery efforts. But first, let's see what weather conditions we are waking up to this morning. We go live to our weatherman, Basil Dean.
This weather report is sponsored by Bank of the Bahamas, the bank of solutions.
Good morning, LaDawn. We had some brief overnight showers, and right now our ZNS Tower Cam showing patchy clouds overlooking the Paradise Island area. And on our satellite picture in the tropics, we have our eyes on a couple of systems. There is a tropical wave just off the African coast that has about a 20% chance of developing over the next 5 days. And then this other area of this organized showers and thunderstorms midway between the Azores Islands and the Lesser Antilles has about a 30% chance of developing over the next few days, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Still some distance away, but right on our doorsteps we have this area of low pressure over the southeast Bahamas that is interacting with an upper level trough. Will continue to move towards the north and west over the next couple of days, spreading showers across the Bahamas. It has about a 30% chance of developing once it gets into the northwest Bahamas and the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But outside of our studios, we have partly cloudy skies, temperature 82 degrees, relative humidity just around 78%, easterly winds at 6 miles per hour, the barometric pressure 1,018.4 millibars. That's 30.07 inches, and the pressure is steady. Your temperatures around the islands, 82 in Marsh Harbor, Green Toll Key at 79, 79 also in Freeport, Grand Bahama, the Berry Islands, 82, 83 degrees in Alistown, Bimini, Harbor Island, Roxanne, Eleuthera, 82, 81 in Otterstown, Cat Island, Stanley Key, 82, 82 in Kemps Bay, South Andros, also Fresh Creek in Central Andros. San Salvador and Rum Key at 81, 82 in Ragged Island, Clarence, Long Island, Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Meguana, 81, Acklands, 81, Matchitown, Inagua, 81, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 82 degrees. And your boating forecast for today in the northwest and central Bahamas, northeast winds at 15 to 20 knots, rough sea conditions at 4 to 7 feet. Low tide, that will take place at 11:07 this morning, high tide at 5:28 in the afternoon. And for the southeast Bahamas today, easterly flow 12 to 18 knots, wave height 3 to 6 feet. That's going to do it for your first look at weather, the morning edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Traffic could be picking up at this hour as we take you out to the streets. Jiminy DeSwain is standing by with the Bahamas First traffic report.
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Good morning, LaDawn, and good morning, Bahamas. We're coming to you live from the intersection of Blue Hill and Soldier Road, and for much of the morning what we've been seeing here at this location is a number of persons are speeding. Now, they could be making their way to work, just trying to get ahead of the traffic, or preparing to drop their children off to respective schools. I know that police often have a challenge with speeding concerns in these areas, particularly since it's a residential one. There are some school zones just a ways back up on Blue Hill Road. Also, persons making their connection with Blue Hill and Soldier Road, coming on from the Soldier Road corridor. Some of them are simply just impatient and also are speeding as well. I guess it remains a challenge for traffic officials. One official was supposed to make it out with us this morning. I guess they got caught up. But for now, if you're making your way out, I would suggest that you pack some patience and take as much time as possible. Like I say, it's not a heavy traffic flow, but it is making a slow build-up. Back to you in Studio LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Jiminy. Now on to our top story this morning. The death toll from catastrophic Hurricane Durian has now risen to 50. By breakdown, the new death count for Abaco has increased to 42, while the number of deaths on Grand Bahama remains at 8. Police say they anticipate the death toll will continue to rise as search and rescue exercises continue. Now, with a number of people still presumed missing since the passage of deadly Durian, police continue to appeal to family members to file missing persons reports. The RBPF says it, along with other local and international law enforcement agencies, are making every effort to bring relief and closure to everyone. Some 1,500 evacuees from Abaco sought refuge at the Kendall Geologics Gymnasium after being displaced by Hurricane Durian last week. Officials say they are erecting a fourth tent outside of the gymnasium to accommodate more evacuees. Stadium Public Relations Officer Carlos Reed gave ZNS News this update on the gym's capacity and registration process.
The gym is filled to capacity with the help of some of our citizens. They've erected a tent you could see on the side of the gym. They're getting ready to put up another one because that's almost filled. And we still have people that are pouring inside. You see what I'm saying? They got a whole heap of people that's still pouring inside. Some people you could see in the back there that are being registered at this moment. And it's gone down. Some you get enough dark people. In one place, you're gonna suck up a lot of temperature, you know. But it's really cramped. The people here are doing the best that they can, and we really want to tip our hats off. You know, LaDawn, we hear so much negative about what's going on in this country, and I know people want to see things move faster, but this is the first time in this country that we ever experienced this. I don't think much people in different parts of the world experience this. I want the Bahamian people to be mindful of just a couple of things. We're learning through this process.
Now, Reed says based on the long lines at the center, the demand is great and confirmed that 95% of the persons seeking shelter are Haitian nationals. While the Haitian nationals are being asked by him not to fuss about talk around town, he also encouraged Bahamians to be more sympathetic to them.
In reality, the hurricane got to hit Nassau, Bahamas. And if it did, then where would we be? God spared us, so we could be in a position to be able to help some other people. I'm so sick and tired. All we hearing is the gloom and doom. We don't need to hear that right now. Our people need hope. When we look at the amount of people that are being displaced, this ain't the time for that.
The Fox Hill Community Center is also serving as a shelter for hundreds of evacuees who fled the islands of Abaco and Freeport with their families and the clothes on their backs. On Monday, our cameras were rolling as we caught up with some of them who relived the terror of Hurricane Durian, while officials applauded Bahamians everywhere for assisting graciously to their brothers and sisters in need. More than 200 evacuees out of Abaco are housed here at the Fox Hill Community Center after Hurricane Durian ravaged that island. Now, a few of them we spoke to say Hurricane Durian was a storm they will never forget.
Watching the weather coming as it come, then after a while I see the wind pick up, then after a while I look for an hour or two, I look in the back of the yard, I see the flood start coming high and high and high. So the ladies that were with me, I tried not to say nothing for them to panic, because I wasn't panic. I was strong and ready to face anything would come our way through the storm. Finally, when I looked, the water come high. Then after a while, when I looked, the roof start shake a little bit. Then I find out, you see I think it's a tornado, just rip off. You know, I be standing just watching it. There's a loud sound through that. It sounds like a train, a monster inside there again.
We went into the shelter. And the shelter, the roof came off. Through the storm, we had to run from one classroom to the other classroom, but that roof caved in. We left that classroom and went to the bathroom. That roof came in. So then we came outside, and the officer upstairs said that we had to leave. So we went from there. We tried to run to the Lateran Church. And when we reached there, it was an explosion. Just so I got inside. The door broke, and then the walls started to come in. So we ran to the other part of the church, and the water was there. So we sat there. The guys them had to hold the door so the breeze don't get inside that part of the church.
Georgette Gardner says a majority of the 236 evacuees stationed at the center came from the Mud, Pigeon Pea, and Marsh Harbor, Abaco. She says it was disheartening to see the conditions some of them came to the center in.
Some of them came with wet clothing, some of them came with nothing. Some came with bags, but wet passports, wet clothes. And so we had some folks out of the community of Fox Hill that came here, took some of them in their private homes and washed the clothes and dried for them. I must say that they all came here with good spirit, positive. They lost everything, but They were all glad to be alive. Even some that came and said that they weren't sure if their family members were living or not. They still had hope that one day, or maybe during their time here, that they would get a phone call, a text message to say that your son or your daughter is alive and waiting to see you.
And to ensure that evacuees had hot meals 3 times per day, CEO of Island Gas Raphael Dean and his team stepped up to the plate by providing gas at no cost to the center.
We were contacted that this particular center doesn't have any cooking facilities. So what we did, we stepped in after the call, and we will do all the installation, provide the tank and gas to this particular institution free of charge. Friday night, we also did the same thing at the Secondal Isaacs Gym, where those guys are set up who are doing a tremendous job down there. So it looks like everyone, the private sector, if it keeps going this way, we will take care of our own.
Representatives from the United Nations Children's Fund are in the Bahamas giving donations and making their initial assessments on the impact of Hurricane Durian on residents and children from Abaco and Freeport. The deadly storm left dozens dead and thousands displaced on those islands, forcing survivors to seek shelters here in New Providence. Regional Emergency Climate and Risk Programming Manager Hanak Balivi says he just wants to help the Bahamas get back to normalcy.
We went there and also looked at the situation there, and we also realized how a situation also evolved and changed from a dire situation on the islands and people coming here and hopefully to get an immediate support that they need. People need, from what we saw, the findings that you find people that basically lost all their belongings. There were people that lost their very dears, people that also got separated from their families and lost all what they have. And that's where we see now, and that's where we are trying best to help the government of Bahama to handle it in the best way possible.
Well, just hours after Hurricane Durian ripped through Abaco and Grand Bahama, there has been a continuous overflow of relief supplies heading to victims of those impacted islands. Desmond Saunders visited a local shipping center and tells us how business is shaping up.
A busy, bustling scene at one of the country's populous shipping hubs. Scores of local residents making a mad rush to the mailboat port, Patoskey Dock.
My name is Florita Viterbo, and I am the president of the Filipino Association of the Bahamas. We have 5 pallets, but also with these pallets, because we have 2 associations, the Overseas Filipino Workers, so we all combine our pallets, and we made up like 5 pallets for the people of Freeport.
Desmond, as you can see how long this line is.
How long have you been waiting for?
Well, I just reached here, been here about 20 minutes. I guess reached here about 11:45. About 11:45, but my mind was telling me to come out here from at least from around 7:45 or so, and just try to beat the number, the first 5 on the line. My family in Freeport, they really get hit hard, and they only left with the clothes on their backs. So I came out here, I have 2 boxes of some dry canned goods to send to my cousins and my aunties, them in Freeport.
I'm actually here from work. I'm actually at work right now for Family Guardian. We're sending some hurricane relief supplies for Freeport.
Just take a look at the amount of items right here. Take a look at this long line. Some persons have been standing in line for hours trying to deliver relief supplies to their relatives in Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Water, canned food goods, and fruit juices, some of the popular items. The tense scene causing a long traffic delay on East Bay Street. Police Superintendent Roderick McKenzie of the Patoskey Dock Police Station helping to maintain a smooth flow of traffic.
Extremely hectic. Traffic is backed up all the way downtown Bay Street, trying to get to the dock. The persons to bring stuff to their loved ones to go to the islands. Extremely busy. As the police officers out here, we have it under control. Myself, along with an inspector and a sergeant, right down the streets there. We try to keep the traffic flowing properly to make.
The mailboat port back in business following Dorian's wrath. An all-clear announced last week for ports in Abaco and Grand Bahama, allowing services for the mailboat operators access to those affected islands. Desmond Saunders, ZNS Network News.
Stay close. We've got more on Hurricane Dorian's search and recovery right after this. It's World Suicide Prevention Day. In the wake of Hurricane Dorian and its impact, health officials are doing all they can to bring calm to the many affected victims. Joining us live in studio this morning is clinical psychologist Dr. Tracy King. Dr. King, welcome.
Good morning.
Now, on this World Suicide Prevention Day, share your concerns considering the impact of Hurricane Dorian over there in Abaco and Freeport.
So when we have something traumatic like a hurricane, it affects our mental health, and not only for adults but also children. So we need to pay close attention to how persons are reacting. Specifically, you might see depression, anxiety. You will see sometimes persons having problems concentrating, sleeping, as well as isolating themselves. So we need to pay attention to the impact that the Hurricane Dorian has had mentally on our citizens.
And what are some of the signs health officials like yourself are looking for in terms of, I guess, suicide attempts?
So in relation to a traumatic event, I talked about depression, but there's also the signs of hopelessness and helplessness with all of the loss that the person may have experienced during this time. And with suicide warning signs, it's important to recognize what they are so that a person can get help. So you will notice a person talking about wanting to die, helplessness, hopelessness, maybe even isolation, increase in risky behaviors, as well as substance use.
Now, I know I've done a few stories yesterday. I've spoken to a few adults that have been impacted by Hurricane Dorian in Abaco, but we're also forgetting about the children that are affected by, I guess, the deadly storm. Talk to us a little bit about that and the psychological impact of Hurricane Dorian on our children.
So it not only affects adults but also children, but it affects children in a different way. I mentioned some of the impact mentally with the depression, the anxiety, which is also seen in children. But you will see the impact, sometimes children going back to really bad behaviors. Sometimes they will isolate themselves. And so it's important that we allow the child to express themselves, to help them feel safe in an environment that they have now known to not to be safe.
Now, I know you and the team are heading down to Freeport and or Abaco today. What are your expectations when you get down there on the ground?
Well, the team is going to be going down to Freeport, and I'm quite sure that that particular team will be able to address the wide range of emotions as well as the situation to help those individuals there in their current state of emotional turmoil.
Now, what advice you want to give to persons who are, I guess, contemplating suicide for this Suicide Prevention Day?
So if you are recognizing any of the signs that I mentioned for yourself or anyone else, it's important that you get help. There's help available. You can call Sandlands Rehabilitation Center or the Community Counseling Assessment Center on Collins Avenue.
Dr. Tracy King, thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Stay close. We've got more news right after this quick break.
So your family from Eleuthera or Exuma?
Eleuthera and Exuma.
Okay. So we may be related. You may be related to my husband. Hello.
Not you, though.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. What happened to you this morning? Anyway, I'm gonna call you back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you?
Local support also pouring in for hurricane victims in the Bahamas. Jiminy the Swain Welcome back. Local support also pouring in for hurricane victims in the Bahamas. Our Jiminy DeSwain is standing by, with several humanitarians to tell us all about their efforts.
Good morning, Ladon, and good morning, Bahamas. We're coming to you live from Arawaki, where a very special series of events are going to take place in a few weeks that are going to aid the victims of Hurricane Durian, those impacted in Abaco and Grand Bahama. Now, joining me to explain exactly what that is and how Junkanoo will feature into that, we have Mr. Dion Miller, Ms. Chris Kishleen Smith, and of course, Dr. Dwight Marshall. Now, Kishleen, give us an idea of what is going to be happening to assist those impacted.
Well, firstly, good morning, Bahamas. After learning of the severe damage to both Grand Bahama and the Abacos, we thought it fitting that we as a Junkanoo community come together, void of our respective groups, void of our respective entities, but coming together for the purpose of helping Junkanoo, helping our brothers and sisters that are on those islands from the severe damage that they've suffered, and we want to give back. And so in giving back, we have a magnificent plan for both days on September 21st and September 28th. I think Dr. Marshall will go and elaborate with that.
So, Dr. Marshall, again, good morning. Tell us what are some of the events that are planned and what persons can expect from them.
Good morning, Bahamas. Well, we're Junkanoos, first and foremost, and that is our contribution in all of this. We've decided to come together along with Dion Miller, who's chairperson for the JCNP, to do our part and bring in relief and bring in some sense of calm from our perspective, which is Junkanoo. On the 21st and the 28th, we decided, like Kishleen said, to get rid of our individual groups and not be as tribal, put down the spirit of competition for a minute, because we are supporting our brothers and sisters in the northern part of the country, and everybody's seeing the devastation. We've been in contact with even the leaders of the groups and the members of the groups in those islands, and everybody's devastated. So we're going to come together and bring our drums and whistles and cowbells and brass and everybody else, and we're going to do it for them. The general public is also invited. All our fans are a part of what we're doing. So this is not just the people on the road. This is our fans as well. They're very important to this whole event. And on those 2 days, we're going to rush and we're going to have everybody bring their supplies and everything, because at the first meeting, we decided to send everybody back to their various groups, and as we speak, they should be collecting the items that we're going to package together. Everything is done together, and we're going to send it out to everybody. So we implore everybody to come out and support us. It's going to be fun and just a relief from all the stress. Yes. So come out those 2 days and please support us.
Well, thank you, Dr. Marshall. Now, Mr. Miller, obviously there are some items that you're hoping persons bring out as donations to give to those impacted. Can you give us an idea of what persons can bring, whatever donation it is, to assist?
The regular relief supplies such as batteries, canned goods, clothing, and those type of items. The Junkanoos in generally has always been on the receiving end, whether it be from government or our corporate partners. So we want to take this time to give back to the community through Junkanoo, through our Junkanoo expression, and any way we can help. So we invite the whole entire public, all of our Junkanoos, to come out and let's support our brothers and sisters in the Northern Islands.
Well, thank you so much, Dion, Kishleen, Dr. Marshall. There you have it, September 21st and 28th. Yes. You can do your part to support, right here in Arawaki, you can do your part to support all of those impacted, of course, by Hurricane Durian. Back to you in Studio Ladon.
Sounds like a great initiative there. Well-known pastor and gospel artist out of Grand Bahama, Simeon Outen, is recounting his loss once again from a hurricane. Outen, who is now in the capital, spoke with our Jiminy DeSwain.
Pastor Outen, who is a neighbor of Agriculture Minister Michael Pintard, lost everything in the storm. The experience, he says, he wouldn't wish on his worst enemy.
To go back home and to see the devastation, not only of just my house, but all of the houses that are in my community just completely totaled. Left my car in the garage, and to been able to come home and see it just out of the garage in front of the house, and a whole side wall of the garage just blown out by water and wind. It's just a tragedy.
He says he opened the doors of his church to assist those in need.
When the storm passed, just a little over 400 people that came and find refuge at the church. So that's where I spend most of the time once the winds died and we were able to go out and see so many lives shattered.
And despite the devastation that he and many others have suffered, this is his message.
I just want to tell my friends and family to never lose hope, because God is bigger than any disaster that we would ever encounter. I am of the view that He is going to restore even better than what we've ever had. And so I just dig in my faith, in my confidence, and I want to pass that on to my brothers and sisters to invite them to just wait a little while longer. The best for us on Grand Bahama Island is still to come.
So far, officials report 50 confirmed persons dead due to the passage of Hurricane Durian. Pastor Outen offers these words to those who have lost a loved one or remain with ones unaccounted for.
I sympathize and send my heartfelt condolences to all of the families, even out in the East End area, even right within my neighborhood. I know of two of the neighbors who perish through the storm. I simply would want to tell you that God understands what all you are facing and what we have faced. All we have is our faith.
While Outen, like many others in Grand Bahama and Abaco, pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, one thing is clear. He says those islands will rise again like the phoenix. Jiminita Swain, ZNS Network News.
Thanks a lot, Jiminita. Stay close. We've got more on Hurricane Dorian's search and recovery right after this. Welcome back. Like Pastor Outen, many residents in Abaco were left homeless and searching for a new life. Kelsey Johnson was on the ground with a group of religious leaders.
Good morning, LaDawn. Good morning, Bahamas. I'm standing in the middle of the mud, or which was once called the mud, which is right next door to the Pigeon Pea. As you can see, it's total destruction around us. This area stretches for miles and miles. This is two of the most famous shanty towns on the island of Abaco.
It brought tears to my eyes. The people just, they were still taking up dead bodies while we were there today. At least we saw 2 or 3 dead bodies they moved today. Suffering.
If you're wondering why we're wearing the mask, it's because we're standing in the middle of the mud, which is right next door to the Pigeon Pea. We're told that this particular area is contaminated. As you can see, it is destroyed and it stretches for miles and miles.
Major damage, which will incur a major input by our national convention and partners who have come to our aid to give us some support, not only financially but also logistically, to make sure that the area that we intend to rebuild will be done with precise inspection and the right code of material things that we'll use to rebuild it back.
Kelsey Johnson, ZNS Network.
One of the country's leading umbrella unions is doing its part to assist those hardest hit by the catastrophic Hurricane Dorian. In this week's edition of Things You Should Know, Cleopatra Murphy explains how they are helping.
Thousands of Abaconians and Grand Bahamians have been displaced and are now without a home after Hurricane Dorian left many with just the clothes on their backs. The National Congress of Trade Unions Bahamas, under the leadership of President Bernard Evans, is doing its part to ensure residents, many of whom are a part of the union, are supplied with something as simple as a hot meal. A number of union leaders toiled in the kitchen at the Holy Trinity Anglican Church Hall on Saturday, preparing some 200 meals. President of the NCTUB's Women's Association, Sharon Martin, says the initiative is part of Evans's mandated Disaster Preparedness Restoration Committee's efforts to address the need brought on by Hurricane Dorian.
We committed to ensure that lunch was prepared for today. Persons have done the breakfast and all the other stuff. So we're just ensuring that we make sure that persons are fed, and that is our goal for today. And so we have food, and we know that there was a desperate need for like toothpaste and toothbrushes and that sort of stuff. So the instant needs that they have been able to relay that to us.
Martin says this is the less glamorous side of the union's mandate, one that the public does not see often. The relief effort is part of the body's short-term goals. In the aftermath of such devastation, President of the Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union, Dino Roll, says the union has its own challenges post-Durian with its members that have been impacted.
Here we are in the National Congress of Trade Unions now. We're doing this small part to assist those persons who, I think, telling you, went through what is reported to be the most serious disaster that we've experienced, we've heard about in our lifetime. And so we're doing our small part.
President of the Bahamas Financial Services Union, Teresa Mortimer, says it was important to be a part of the relief effort, adding that Bahamians must be their brother's keepers at this time.
I'm just proud to be a part of the process, the healing process that can reach Bahamians. It's a very dramatic experience. I was just speaking to one of our colleagues. Actually, he's from Jamaica, but he flew into Abaco, and he said to me this morning, Teresa, to get some water and to get a shower. You see? So the things that we think are so menial, that we don't think a lot about, in Abaco, it means so much.
Mortimer says the disaster impacts the entire Bahamas, and she urges everyone to, like the union, lend a hand. She appealed to anyone willing to give to drop off supplies at the BCPOU Hall on Farrington Road.
We need to care for each other. We need to be there for each other. And the principle here is solidarity. And that's the union's principle. Solidarity, togetherness, we could get so much done.
Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Cleo. Well, the new school year has officially begun, and students at neighboring schools in Pinewood Gardens kicked off the new school year with a special greeting from a surprise guest. Pinewood Member of Parliament Reuben Ramming visited Buttonwood Preschool and Cleveland Indians Primary yesterday to check on the campuses post-flood and pass on some encouraging words to the students. The official opening of the school year would have been offset by a week due to weather conditions and flooding caused by Hurricane Durian. Ramming says in the aftermath of Durian, it's important to give students a sense of normalcy. He also extended a warm invitation to students who may be joining Pinewood communities post-Durian.
Because of what we have all been through, even New Providence suffering massive flooding and distress on parents, nothing is more important in a crisis setting than to get people to normalcy as best as possible. Children are impacted directly, and parents are impacted, and the parents transfer that energy to the children. So this back to school is even more important because it signals a sense of normalcy in that regard. But I'm still very, very concerned because I understand that there are still so many homes. I'm not distracted by the well-pressed uniforms and the smell. I know that there are parents still struggling, especially even in Pinewood. So we're doing the best we can.
Telecommunications provider Alive announcing that they are working on getting their full system online and that they are committed to restoring national communication infrastructure. Chief Alive Officer Damian Blackburn said that they will continue to support the people of the Bahamas and explained what their plans are.
Offered to BTC that their customers have the ability to use the Alive 3G network to make essential communication. We expect BTC will reciprocate in kind. Our engineers have been working all weekend to make this a reality with the BTC team. We expect to have this service live by the latest on Monday 9th of September. Alive has proposed that the normal charges that would apply for these national roaming services should be waived between the parties. As you restore your life and livelihoods over the course of the next few days and weeks, we are with you.
Stay close. Sports with our Charles Fisher is up next.
Good morning. It's time for Sports Tuesday. Well, the Bahamas took on Borneo in their first match of the 2019 CONCACAF Nations League Series. Goals from veterans Happy Hall in the 49th and Cameron Heppel in the 78th minute secured Team Bahamas an emotional 2-1 win.
I would say we broke through several times in the first half. We just weren't able to put away the finishes. You know, it was a game that was a difference of yards. We could have had 5-6 goals in the first half, but we didn't finish our chances, and sometimes that's what happens.
We had the upper hand in the first half. We kept possession. We were relaxed. We're a good team, a young team, you know, with a bright future, and with the old heads, as they call us, you know, putting them in place. I'm proud of how we played tonight, I really am. We have a bright future in the front of us, and like I said in the locker room, and I said in another interview, I think this is the best team we've put forward in a long, long time. So, you know, it wasn't just my goal, it was the team's effort. You know, we all played amazing. Logan, a young player, I think it was his first 90 minutes. Amazing. And, you know, that's what we have to look forward to in the future.
It was hard preparing for this trip. You know, the power's out quite a bit because of the flooding. We were turning lights on in cars, training. A lot of us were helping with evacuees and Odyssey. We were on our feet a lot this week. It was an emotional week. So, you know, we're starting the rebuilding process as a nation, and I think this was a good step in a positive way.
Two-time reigning champs Olivia's Gaston Cyberts and the pennant winners Gladstone Road Liquor Panthers meeting in game one of the Government League Basketball Championships last night, also at the AFL Gym. It was the Cyberts jumping on the Panthers early 21-15 after one. Panthers would go on a mini run in the second quarter to claw their way back into this ball game and only trailed by one at the half, 37-36. Second half, the Cyborgs came out the locker room and took the bite out of the Panthers and led by as many as 12 at one point to go up 63-51. Again, not wanting to do what they did last year, win the pennant and lose in the championship. The Panthers dug deep and outscored the Cyborgs 24-10 and hold on for the game one win, 75-73. Salathiel Donkey D in 23 points, 14 boards. Rashad Edgecombe chipped in with 21 and the Don Charlo, 15 points, 14 rebounds in the win. For the Cyborgs, Eugene Bain, 19 points, 10 rebounds, and Brian Tucker Bain, he finished with 13.
Well, it was a hard game. They're the champs. They have good experience. With the Panthers now, we coming. My guys, hats off to my guys who played a hell of a game. We scratched, we clawed. We felt that, you know, but I wouldn't say that bad, but me and Mr. McPhee, man, listen, we did a good job. Boys did a good job. I'm proud of my boys, because that's a big loss.
We had several opportunities to win the game down the stretch, and we just blew it. A lot of it, you know, championship game is mental. And down the stretch, when your physicality can't go, your mental have to kick in. And I noticed tonight some of our guys wasn't mentally prepared for the game. You didn't win 2 in a row, you didn't win 6 of the last, 5 of the last 6. And at the end of the day, I guess they're not as hungry as they want to be. And this team here is hungry. They want to win. They want to ring. And I don't blame them. I can see they're prepared. I can see they're practicing. So we just have to go back to the drawing board and come back prepared to play.
Now game 2 is set for Wednesday. That's going to do it for Sports Tuesday. Thanks for watching.
In our final look at weather, we have a tropical wave just off the African coast, and the probability of that developing is pegged at about 20% as it moves towards the west at around 15 miles per hour. And then there's another area midway between the Azores and the Lesser Antilles. This system has about a 30% chance of developing over the next 5 days, but it's still quite some distance off, so we'll keep our eyes on it and keep you posted. But right on our doorsteps, we have an area of low pressure over the southeast Bahamas that is interacting with an upper level trough, and it is expected to spread towards the north and west over the next couple of days. But as it gets into the northwest Bahamas, conditions are expected to become more favorable for development, and it is likely to develop into a tropical cyclone, perhaps as it enters into the eastern Gulf of Mexico over the weekend. But whether it develops or not, it certainly will produce some rains and some gusty winds over the next couple of days. Today, we're going in for periods of clouds and sunshine, a bit breezy with a shower or thunderstorm in the mix. High temperature today, getting up to 86 degrees. And tonight, we're looking at partly cloudy with a passing shower or two. Your low temperature just around 79 degrees. And extended weather forecast over the next few days. A few showers becoming a little more heavy on Thursday as that little system in the southeast spreads into the northwest Bahamas. Some will linger around on Friday. Even on Saturday, we'll have more cloudy conditions with 1 or 2 showers. But as we head into Sunday, lots of sunshine. The early part of next week also looking pretty good weather-wise. LaDawn?
Thanks a lot, Basil. And just before we go, we'd like to send out a very special condolences to the family of the King of Joncanoe, John Chippy Chipman, who passed away yesterday at the age of 90. And that's it for us this morning. See you right back here tomorrow morning for more coverage of Hurricane Dorian, search and recovery. Once again, I'm LaDawn Davis. Have a great day, everyone.